Hey everybody, Justin here. Thank you for checking out this video. And in this video, what I wanted to show is how to create some poetry using Markov chains, using ChatGPT, and then using Python. So there's a lot of things going on here. And the good thing about this is you don't even really need to have any experience with you don't have to have a lot of experience with Python coding or poetry or ChatGPT. You can kind of do this stuff for you. And so let me explain. So first, if you're not familiar, ChatGPT is just this AI kind of chat program, and you can ask it anything. So I'm here at ChatGPT, and you can ask it things like, it's been trained. It's a mathematical. It's a model that's been trained on data, and so you can ask it anything like, what's the most efficient way to do something, or how do I fix, how do I change my car's oil? Okay. You can ask it a bunch of questions and it'll respond how it thinks is appropriate. But you can also use it to solve other problems. So I'm interested in poetry as one of these things. So you can ask it, okay, I'll stop generating its answer because sometimes it does get verbose. But you can ask it things like, write me code, and I'll just say Python code, but you could do other things too. Code to display the word hello, I don't know, n number of times. So if I wanted to display it 1 time or 37 times, it could do that. So I know a little bit of Python, so I could code this one, but we can make it more complex. So let me just press return, and then you could see it will just start giving you the code. So I'm going to let this go, and it has some good comments on the code of good notes and things. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to go in I'm at Jupyter.org, so this makes like different notebooks where you can run your Python code. So I'm just going to go open up a new notebook, and I'm going to paste the code in. Okay. And I'm going to, actually I'm going to change the code a little bit. I'm going to say modify. So what this is going to do, it's going to open up a pop-up box that's going to ask me for the number of times to display hello. I'm going to say modify this code to have n be a function argument, because I just want to be able to put a number n in there and then have it do it. I don't want to have to type in. I want to do that before. So okay, so we changed it a little bit. But that's the whole point of this ChatGPT code. You can do modify this, modify that, and you can type your command, in natural language. So I'm just going to go back in my Jupyter notebook, replace it, and then I'll run this. So this said hello 5 times. So I'm going to change it to 64 times, and it displays hello 64 times. Okay. So this is the main thing that we're going to be doing. Now, I'm not going to be doing something boring like say hello. I'm going to be doing something interesting like write a poem. So how do we do that? So we can just go back into ChatGPT and change our commands a little bit. Write Python code to write a poem. Now, if I just do this, I'm interested actually to see what it does. Writing a poem from just say write a poem is much more difficult than say write a poem using a source text. So say you have a text file that has lots of words in it. We could use Python to look at those words a certain way and then write a poem. If I just do return on this, let's see what it does. Yeah, see, it's saying it's not capable of writing it it's not capable like from scratch, just writing a poem. Okay, I'm going to stop generating. I'm not capable of creating a creative work just such as a poem on its own. It says it learns from a large corpus of text. So that's what we need to feed it, okay? So I'm going to modify this, write Python code to write a poem using, I'm just going to call it source.txt. So in other words, we have a, say, large text file of, it could be poetry already, it could be full text of a book that's, you have access to. It could be your own words that you input, but we have some source.txt text file that we're going to use to have Python pull from, do some rearranging, some math, some probability, and from that get a poem. So I'm going to tell it to write Python code to write a poem using source.txt. And we'll go through some of the code and what it's doing. And his comments are really good. You can learn a lot from the comments and the explanation at the end. So let's see what this code, if it even does anything. Sometimes it's not perfect. Sometimes it's a little weird. But let's see what it does. So I have a source.txt over here. I have the full text of the King James Bible, and then the full text of Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. And all you can do is, if you can find those full texts, like at Project Gutenberg, or copy paste from the web, wherever, or enter it in yourself, save it as a text file, and you can just upload it, and then it will be over here as a source.txt. So I'm going to change the source.txt to the Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Now let's just see what it does. Yeah, let's try. Let's run this and see what happens. See if we get any errors. Okay, it's having a hard time importing this module named text blob. So what we can do is we can go back in here and say, modify the code to not use text blob. Now you could try to make it so it can use text blob, and that's totally fine. But usually if I'm playing around with this and I get errors, I just say modify this code to not do what's causing the error and see if it's possible. Okay, so let's try this code and see what happens. Oh yeah, I need to rename my source.txt to Leaves of Grass. There we go. Yeah, so see, we're still getting some type of errors and stuff, and that's fine. I just wanted to show you the general idea. Now I'm going to use some code that I've already done. Okay, and this uses something called a Markov chain. Now Markov chain, let me open this up. Markov chain, it uses probability, so it takes, like, say you have the word like, let's see, what's a good example? Say you have a full text of a poem. So I have, again, I said I have Leaves of Grass. So in Leaves of Grass, there's lots of different lines, like the something something, and then the something something, the something something. And you take all of those and then you weight them. So if the word the appears in your poem, you say, okay, which continuation of the do I want to use? And you do that for every word in the text. So if you have, say, waves crashed, and then you have another waves gently something, waves splashed, waves kept coming, or whatever, right? You have all these possibilities for each one of these words, and then it goes in and chooses one based on probability. So that's the basic idea of a Markov chain. You have a word, and then it will generate the next word for you using probability. So I did this after many combinations and editing on my own. So this will generate poems using a basic Markov chain from source text, where the number of lines of a poem is a parameter. So I can change that from 2-line poem to 30-line poem. A degree of randomness, so I can make it to its, so the lines chosen are like the source text lines or different, depending on this randomness degree. The minimum number of words per line, the maximum. And then I set it to do if I want certain words to appear. So maybe I want to do a poem with the word peace in it. So I would put peace there, and it would put it in the poem. So, and then I have an option to make K number of poems. If I want to make 3 poems, it'll do this kind of procedure 3 times. So this is the full code, and this area is the Markov chain area I told you about. So yeah, it's just choosing the next word based on the probabilities in this Markov chain. And yeah, it chooses one word randomly and then goes through this Markov chain process. And here I have the area that I say we did, ChatGPT and I did, to check if the required word is in this generated text. So okay, so I'm gonna do yeah, and by the way, the default is to not have required words be in there. So let me do, I was testing with the word soda to put soda in the poem. Okay. So let me do it without the required word. So I'm just going to leave this, out for now. So I'm going to call this program by saying, I'm going to use leaves of grass. I'll just make 1 poem. Well, let me make 2 poems. The number of lines, there'll be, let's do a 5-line poem. Randomness, so the larger this is, the more kind of randomy it's going to be. So I'll keep it, I'll lower it to 1.25. And I'll say there has to be at least 5 words on a line and a maximum of 7 words on a line. So, okay, so let me go ahead and run this, and you can see what type of poems this makes. Now again, my goal with poetry is I'm never ever interested in press a button, here's a poem, publish it. No. It's, do all this work up front, a lot of work. Make a poem, but then get ideas from that and edit it, and repeat. So it's never my goal to have, press a button and here's a perfect poem and then publish it. It's create this, get some cool ideas, write those down, edit it, create some more, edit it. You get really good ideas because you're using the programming to speed up what you could do yourself, but it might take you 5 lifetimes. So you're doing all these, all these possible surprising combinations of text that you could not do feasibly on your own. So anyway, so here we go. Let's see. Invalid syntax. Oops. I think I have to have this in. And then just set it to blank. Let's try that. There we go. Oh, whoops. I have some extra text up here. That's why. It was interpreting that as code and not as my comment. So when I paste it from here, there we go. Okay, let's try it again. There we go. So, created 2 poems with the parameters that I have in the function, and you can see, are they great? But there's ideas you can get from them. So, you know, I don't know, Lullaby in the Western Seas, that sounds kind of cool. Pierced by One Woman, Blooming Mother, Here's a Dream. That sounds kind of cool. Embrace of Peace. Men Falling Like Them. Yeah, so you can get good ideas and decent lines from it. You know, let's try again and see what we get. Illuminated face to have rooted in its thought. Let's see. Sounds running. That's interesting. Ceaseless tides. Ghostly millions. Interesting. So that's what I use it for, to get these combinations that I never would really have thought about myself. And even then, things would be really edited after that, right? And then what I do too is what I do is I would take any line that I have and go to Google and search for that specific text and see if it's been used before by anybody, you know. And if it hasn't, then I use it, you know. Let's try the same thing with the King James Bible. So now what I'm going to do is I go up to this area where I call my source, and I'm just going to call it this KJV. Because again, here that's just this, I just copy pasted. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to say. When you have a source.txt, you need to clean it up a little bit. So what I do in the source.txt files, and I'll open Leaves of Grass too, is I lowercase everything. Put everything in lowercase. And then what I do is I take all the punctuation out, because I like adding that myself. So I take out all commas, periods, exclamation points, question marks, colons, semicolons, brackets, quotes. Take out all that stuff. And then I take out all the numbers too. So I find the numbers 0 through 9 and just delete them from the file. Yeah, so that's the main thing I do to clean up. Everything else I just leave in as is. Yeah. And so I did that with Leaves of Grass. I did that with the King James Bible. Yeah. So let's try doing, so now we're doing the exact same thing. The only thing I change is the source text. So let's try that. Takes a little longer to start out because it has to read in a new source text. And it's probably a little bit longer, I would assume. Money should give thee wisdom, let it. Oh, that's interesting. I was of eyes. Arise not written. Sanctuary and warm, maybe warm sanctuary. I would kind of flip that around. Let's create 2 more. With the cup of his. So anyway, so I just wanted to share this, how to use ChatGPT, create code. You can just say what you want, type what you want in just plain English, and get code, copy and paste it into a Jupyter notebook, run it and see what happens, and how to, use a source.txt. And again, my main thing is not to have something automatically create poems, but to create ideas with things you want to be done, like certain number of lines, certain number of poems, maximum, minimum lengths, required words. Oh, let me do a required word. So say I want the word, I'll do peace instead of soda, because I was testing with soda so I could see it real fast. So the required words, I need peace. Okay. So now it's going to do the exact same thing, but for each poem, it's going to make sure the word peace is in there. So here's the word peace. And then here's the word peace. Let's try with leaves of grass also. Let's do a funny word. Well, let me see if I can think of a funny word. How about Pokemon? Let's see. Yeah, Pokemon. I think that's how you spell it, right? Let's try. Here we go. The labor-suffering Pokemon woman. Anyways, so that's it. I hope you learned some basics of ChatGPT, Python, poetry. Just an idea to try to do some creative stuff and kind of go from there. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.